Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman, here as always with Tom Orr. Tom, nice hat.
Thank you.
How's it going?
Thank you. Yes, I do like the hat. I appreciate it. And if you would like to see this logo, you can also find it at BuckeyeInsiders.com, where you can find us a whole bunch. Today's show, you told me the title is 5 Things We Might Be Wrong About. And I got to tell you, this feels a lot like 5 things you might be wrong about. I am not bringing anything to the table on this one, so...
We're a team sometimes. And when I'm trying to accept responsibility for myself, it's both of us.
There's no we in 5 things I'm wrong about.
No we in us. And so we have talked, we're very... There's reasons to be upbeat about the Ohio State football program.
Really?
This is not breaking news, but it's like... sure, this is going to be good, this is going to be good. Have you been paying attention to Ohio State football the last 20 years? Things are going well.
It actually went okay even before that. Also, this year, preseason number 1 in both major polls.
Right. So it stands to follow that there would be a lot to talk about that is positive. However, what if we're wrong about some stuff? And I've got a few things that we could be wrong about. And number one, I want to say the pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now, your top pass rusher is Kenyatta Jackson, who has 9.5 career sacks in 45 games played. That's essentially 4 seasons back in the olden days.
Yep.
9.5 sacks, and this is your proven guy. He had 6.5 sacks last year, playing 500 snaps or 600 snaps. So this to me is we assume it's going to be, I think he's going to be an All-American. I think this and that, but we could be wrong.
We could be wrong there, and we could be wrong about, you're not going to believe it, Tony, but there's a lawnmower driving by right now. We can do this anytime, day or night, 3 in the morning, it's going to be a lawnmower driving by. Everything at this position is projection.
Yeah.
Where Kenyatta Jackson feels like the sure thing, and Kenyatta Jackson is, certainly he's going to take a step forward. You can have but what if he doesn't? Or what if it's only a half step forward conversation? But then everyone else there is, you need to take a full step forward, maybe a step and a half forward. Bo Atkinson, I think there were some expectations around him last spring, and then really didn't play much last season, was not a real impact player last season. You got lots of promising young players, Epi Satanale, Zion Grady, but it's kind of theoretical until you see it on the field on a Saturday this fall. And even the young guys, Curry Wilder lost his black stripe. I think there's a lot of excitement around him. I think there's a lot of excitement around Dre Quinn. That was someone that Bo Atkinson brought up at interviews on Wednesday. But again, I haven't seen it. And so you're assuming the natural progression is everyone gets better from year 1 to year 2, and year 2 to year 3, and year 3 to year 4, and on and on. But it's not just a linear growth where it's just okay, everyone moves up 3 points in their player rating, and so they're definitely going to be this much better.
Yeah, at the end of every season with a video game, you can progress your players. And so this year, if you go back to thinking about last year, where Kenyatta Jackson and Bo Atkinson, there weren't a lot of people talking about Caden Curry. And speaking of the video game, he was a backup on last year's video game. And he went on to have an All-American season with multiple, double-digit sacks after, I'm going to assume, had fewer than the 9.5 that Kenyatta Jackson has this season, going into last year. And he exploded. So there's plenty of reasons for optimism there. But also, we haven't seen it from everybody. The second area where we might be wrong is just overall the tackling, where it was spectacular last year with Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs and Jalen McLean. 2 of those guys are gone. And replacing them, Peyton Pierce, Earl Little, we don't know nearly as much about them as tacklers in the jobs that they're going to have now. Earl Little is a very experienced player, the Florida State defensive MVP last year. Can he be a guy that can eliminate the ball from any angle? Can Peyton Pierce be the guy at middle linebacker that just always stops the ball when it's coming at him? So these are two very important pieces that need to operate at a very high level. I'm not expecting them to be like they were last year. But this is still an issue where you're going to be playing in some close games. A missed tackle or two, and this schedule could be the deciding factor in a game.
Well, and the benchmark of last year's defense is just not, that is not something that you can say, oh yeah, well they'll do that again. I don't know that you can say they'll do 95% of that again. I mean, Sonny Styles last season, I think, missed one tackle. Caleb Downs last year, I don't know if he missed any tackles. That is an unbelievable outlier historically. And you can be 85% as good as that and still have a very good year. But to your point, number one, with as difficult as the schedule is, you're going to have players that you're playing who are a little harder to tackle this year. You also are going to have games where the margin is tight enough that one missed tackle could be the difference between a win and a loss. That, I think, is another legitimate concern. I mean, it kind of goes to the defense on the whole. And maybe, are we going to talk about the defense on the whole, or
no? We are, yes,
okay.
in a sec.
Okay, so I will save my thoughts on the defense on the whole for a minute. But yeah, there's a lot of optimism right now. There's a lot of reason for optimism right now, where this is not just, everyone feels like they're going to go 9-3 this year, and it's like, well, mathematically that's not possible. But this is a team where there's a lot of skill. There's a lot of, schematically they're presumably going to be in pretty good shape on both sides of the ball. But still, that doesn't mean you're going to get, that doesn't mean all of your wildest dreams are going to come true this fall. It just means they're as well positioned as anyone for stuff to go pretty well for them.
You say it's mathematically impossible to go 9-3?
For everyone to go 9-3.
Okay, all right. I was going to say, like, if Ohio State goes 9-3 and they don't make the playoffs, they're going to do the Notre Dame thing and be like, we're not going to a bowl game because we're mad.
Oh boy, well, I can't wait for the narrative when that happens to Ohio State or Notre Dame or whoever this year.
So the next thing that, Tom, you might be wrong about is the short yardage effectiveness from Ohio State. We believe the running game is going to be better. Every single piece of this is going to be better. More explosive, more depth, more possibilities from Julian Sayin. But what about 3rd and 2? Can they pick it up? Like, that's something that Arthur Smith is expected to have a hand in, the offensive line, all of these things. Julian Sayin has added, he's up to 215 right now, stronger, so that he can be a more effective piece of the short yardage running game. But that's also a very, very difficult piece of real estate to win, and to operate in. So I think that's, until you prove yourself, that's always going to be a question. Like, are you a good short yardage team? Who knows?
Yeah, and to your point, there's all the different pieces should be better. Doesn't mean it's going to be great. Like, you could be better, and on 3rd and 3 last year you were getting stuffed for 1 yard, and you could be better and you get stuffed for 2 yards, and that still doesn't actually solve the problem.
Yeah.
All of the reasons I think it's going to be better. From Julian Sayin, not skipping leg day this year, to Arthur Smith, to the offensive line, to the running back room, to everything. I think there's lots of reason for them to think they're going to be better in this area. But again, it's very easy to this time of year say, well, certainly they'll be better. That's the kind of stuff that's like, well, Drew Aller. Drew Aller, he's back for his senior year. They've brought in all these transfer wide receivers. Certainly they'll be better this year.
Of course.
And that's why James Franklin and Penn State won the national championship last year. So it just, there is a certain amount of show me. When you have struggled in an area, I think a certain amount of show me is fair. This is another one where I fully expect them to be. But until you see them going into DKR and it's 3rd and 2 in the 4th quarter, and you're up by a field goal with 5 minutes left, and you really need a first down to run another 3 minutes off the clock, and you've got those the big boys on the other side of the line. All right, let's see it.
I think it was 3 seasons ago, Justin Fry said, we want to be able to run the ball in short yardage when everybody knows it's coming. I don't know that maybe they did that in 2024. I mean, they won a national championship, so they're effective enough. But again, it's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
You need JT Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have JT Barrett, as you all know. Let's go. You want to talk about the defense. What about just the overall overconfidence? I don't know if overconfidence is the right word, just the overall acceptance that Matt Patricia is going to have things firing, and that I'm not looking for the number one defense in the nation, but top 5 is acceptable. I mean, they're the standard. The standard is the standard.
It won't feel acceptable at the time, but then in retrospect, you will view it as acceptable.
Right.
Yes.
But the standard is the standard, as Ryan Day says, as Matt Patricia says, and he's the one that set the defensive standard. So now he's got to try to meet it. But you lose some aliens, you replace them with humans. Like this is a thing where you don't have Caleb Downs that can do all these things. You don't have Sonny Styles that can do all of these things. You don't have Arvell Reese that can do all of these things. You now have to replace 3 guys with 6. And you've just added more moving parts that could fail at any given time.
I think this is a defense. First of all, last year's defense was such a historical outlier that it is completely unrealistic to set that as the baseline expectation for this year. That was the best Ohio State defense in decades, maybe ever, by a lot of different metrics. You can't, it's the best ever. Well, okay, next year should be, that's like Indiana fans right now going, well, okay, they need to go 18-0 this year. Like, no, they're not going to go 16-0 this year, and that's okay. You can go. Indiana can go 12-2 this year, and that's still a fantastic year by Indiana standard. Fantastic, even though it represents a step back. That's a little bit how I'm viewing the Ohio State defense this year. I think this could be a very good Ohio State defense by historical standards. Over the last 30 years, this is one of the 7 best defenses they've had by pick your statistical metric. But it's going to be like, they're 6 points a game worse than they were last year. Like, yeah. And it's not just because they're playing tougher schedule. It's also because you don't have the guys who are just the Caleb Downs, just like, handle this for me. You have guys who I think, this is a year when Matt Patricia is going to really earn his living. This is going to be a year where it's more challenging for Matt Patricia. It's going to be a year that's more challenging for the Ohio State defense on the whole. I don't think this is something that we're wrong about, in as much as I think we've been kind of saying this since the spring. I think we've ever said this defense is going to be as good as last year's defense.
What would it take for us to be wrong? 18 points a game, like 21, like Tim Knowles?
Yeah, well,
big plays?
That would be way worse. Yeah. That would be, because they finished it, give or take 10 points a game, 10 and some change,
like
maybe.
9, I think.
Yeah. If they're at 20 points a game this year, and that would not be a terrible defense, but if they are kind of a top 25 SP plus defense instead of top 5, that would be okay. If they're a top 25 defense, I'd kind of go, yeah, that was not. I'm expecting like a top, certainly within the top 10 or 15. That would be, then I'd kind of go, yeah, okay, that's a reasonable step back given all the other stuff.
I just also wonder if there's just a game or two where they don't have answers. I think that would also be like, that's clearly a step back. Because the only answers they didn't have last year were for Carson Beck, like picking up just enough yardage on some throw or some random scramble. So that's the defensive coaching that you have an issue with, Tom. To give fair play to the offensive side of things, all of this talk about Arthur Smith and what he's going to be doing, and it's not bells and whistles, it's it's rocks and hammers more so. But I'm getting decided schematic advantage vibes that people are talking about. Well, he's coming from the NFL, and they've never seen anything like the NFL in college football. And it's not true, but also there's some truth. But it's not all true. So that's why I'm thinking possibly we could be wrong about the offense. But also, I'm not expecting 40 points a game because that's not football. That's not college football anymore. That's not what Ohio State needs anymore. If you bring in a new offensive coordinator back in 2018 or 2021 and they're only scoring 36, it's like, this is a problem. 36 points a game now is like, all right, you're top 3 in the Big Ten. So I wonder if there's some, like, it's not going to be not as much zazz, Tom.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up the 2025 college football playoff results, because I remember Ryan Day talking about the fact that you needed to score 40 points to win in the playoff. That was years ago. That was years ago. I don't know if more than a couple teams scored 40 points in the playoff last year, and that's there's a whole. We had a fascinating conversation on our board at BuckeyeInsiders.com with our members about that, about all the different reasons why that's changing. Ole Miss scored 40 against Tulane. Oregon scored 50 against James Madison. But against power conference teams, Indiana scored 56 against Oregon, and that's it in the playoff. No one else got to 40 last year, and Ole Miss got to 39 against Georgia, but no one else even got to 35. So, that is absolutely not the standard anymore. I don't think Arthur Smith is going to be light years better than anyone's expecting at Ohio State because he's got NFL magic beans. I think this is a situation where last year you had a first-time offensive coordinator who was, a little bit learning on the fly. And so I think this is a spot where the step forward from what you had last year to what you have this year, I think that could be really substantial, or even if he's not completely revolutionizing football, and I'm not expecting him to completely revolutionize football. I just think there's going to be maybe more of a holistic approach and a little bit of a little more systematic approach, and a lot of the little silly stuff that slipped through the cracks last year because they didn't really get pushed that much during the regular season. You didn't get stress tested that much during the regular season last year. This year, I think you're going to have a better kind of whole plan going into the season, and you're also going to get stress tested enough that if something doesn't work, you'll know. You're going to know, and you can adjust and fix it.
So there you go. Those are some of Tom's thoughts on what's going to go wrong this year, where he's wrong. Where do you guys think Tom is wrong? Go ahead and leave those in the comments. Always fun to get thoughts on people's opinions on what Tom has to say. I always look forward to that, and a thumbs up as well. 5-star rating and review on the podcast side is always appreciated, and the absolute best way, as you know, to support what we do, come find us over at BuckeyeInsiders.com. Sign up, become a member. If you like listening to people talk about football and you want to talk about football, you can go do it over there. There's plenty of people to engage with and talk Ohio State football, talk Ohio State basketball, and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So that will do it from here. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you all later.